In Fing, librarians Mr. and Mrs. Meek indulge their demanding daughter Myrtle's every wish. When she wants a mysterious creature called a Fing, they search deep in the jungle. After finding one, Myrtle faces off against a wildlife park owner called Viscount who wants the rare creature for his own. Fing is directed by Jeffrey Walker, and he has previously directed films such as Ali's Wedding and The Portable Door, and Fing just debuted at the 2026 Sundance Film Festival. Fing is a delightful, funny, engaging, wildly unique and entertaining family comedy for everybody of all ages. I had this is the most fun I've had watching a movie in a long time. I highly recommend checking out this film for all ages. Mia Wasikowski and Blake Harrison play Mr. and Mrs. Meek, librarians who meet at work, fall in love, get married, and eventually have a child. And this child is played by Iona Bell. But these librarians are very timid parents to this little girl, so she's very demanding. She's basically a spoiled brat, and when she's a little kid, she realizes that to get whatever she wants, she can ask for presents, and then she'll stop crying. So her parents basically give her whatever she wants. And in the beginning, I was thinking this spoiled brat child character is going to be quite annoying as the film goes on, but I think this very talented actress Iona Bell who plays Myrtle, she really goes in for it. She's so delightful and funny, and the way she torments the adults throughout the whole film eventually wins you over, and she has a lot of amusing, funny moments throughout the film. And one day for Myrtle's birthday, basically she has everything she could ever ask for because her parents give her whatever she wants. So they ask her, what do you want for your birthday? And she says, I want a Fing. And they're like, what's a Fing? And she explains to them, you're librarians, you have to find out what's a Fing. And we find out a Fing is a mysterious monster that people have thought is extinct but actually is still alive on a mysterious island. Myrtle's father would rather go on this dangerous quest to find this Fing than stay at home with his daughter, who's a terror. So he goes off to find this mysterious creature and goes to this island which is full of mysterious and crazy unique monsters. Like it's a monster that kind of looks like a hippopotamus, but it gets powered by its own farts, and that's the type of creature that's on this island. Eventually he finds this Fing and brings it back home. And this Fing character is kind of like, do you remember those critter movies from the 80s and early 90s that there was like 4 or 5 of them? It looks very similar to that, but it's brown and sort of black, and it can kind of like move in like a ball, and it's covered in hair, and it's not as nasty as those creatures, but it's more family friendly. But it basically wants to eat everything. Its favorite food is cream custard. So if you give it some cream custard, then it's happy. At first, when her father brings home the Fing, Myrtle doesn't really like the creature, but eventually she warms up to it. She has some kind of like telepathic ability with it, and because he's not really house trained, she has to train the Fing. Myrtle lives next to a next door neighbor who's also a bit of a loner, a bit of a weird kid like she is. So they build a little bit of a friendship, and once they're training the Fing, they find out that this Fing is kind of addicted to old 80s power ballad songs. So throughout the second half of the film, the film really uses these popular power ballads to enliven some scenes, and they use to some very unique comedic effect. Yes, some of the special effects are a little bit crude, but they get the job done. But this film is very uniquely shot. Every single scene is full of just liveliness and color, and the costume design and the set design is fantastic and unique. And I haven't even mentioned Taika Waititi as this wildlife park owner, who he's kind of similar to Myrtle in a way. Like he's he was brought up in a rich family, but now he owns this wildlife park that is very, very struggling, and he owns millions of dollars to the bank, and basically he wants this Fing because he knows it's a rare creature, and this Fing could save his park and bring lots of customers to his park. But the way Taika plays his character, he's a bit of a douchebag. He thinks he's like so cool and everything, but actually everybody thinks he's an idiot. And every time in his wildlife park, he does all these like shows, and actually he's very awkward and strange. So his character is quite delightful throughout the film, and he's kind of like the bad nemesis guy in the film, but he's very charming and amusing. And this film is stacked with a lot of character actors. We've got Penelope Wilton, David Walliams as the principal headmaster of the school, and Richard Roxburgh as the bank manager who's trying to get his money back from Taika Waititi. And there's Robin Nevin, and it's such a delight she's been away from the screen for a few years, but it's such a delight to see Mia Wasikowska back on the screen. So hopefully it's not a few years until we see her again. And this film doesn't really take itself too seriously. It was shot in Australia, but it's kind of set in this kind of fantasy, like England type setting, like a kind of think of like a Matilda type setting. And by the end of the film, you really do warm up to Myrtle because she really does have a connection with this Fing monster, and she kind of like settles down her like behavior a little bit, and this Fing creature really does bring out the sensitive side to her character. So if you stick with the film, then you really do feel for her character, even though she's a bit of a brat in the first half of the film. And I really liked Mia Wasikowska's and Blake Harrison's librarian characters. They kind of got their own like subplot throughout the film. They're kind of like these cool librarians, and there's this all kind of like subplot about their work job, and they kind of like they had to get like this strange book to find the Fing monster, and I liked how they had their own the characters were like well developed, and they had their own plot throughout the whole film. I give Fing 4.5 stars out of 5. I highly recommend checking out this film for all ages. It's extremely unique and entertaining, and it has a really delightful performance by Iona Bell as the bratty child Myrtle. She really loves tormenting all of the adults in this film, and so many funny set pieces throughout the film, and it's just so unique and heartwarming and funny and unique, and so I highly recommend checking out this film, Fing. Thanks for watching. What did you think of Fing? Please comment below what you thought of the film. See you next time. Bye.